Welcome back to the Authentic Human Podcast. And today, my guest is Fernando Canfeld. And I feel so good about this opportunity. I received an email from Fernando, and his story that he shared was it was beautiful and it was simple and it was to the point. And Fernando, welcome. Thank you. Thank you for reaching out, and for choosing to be here with us. So thank you.
Thank you for having me. I feel so good as well.
So how did you find me?
So I met Kyle last week in London. So I followed him on Instagram like a few months ago, and I saw that he was traveling around Europe. So I messaged him saying, "Hey, are you coming to London?" And he was kind of like, "Oh, I'm just seeing where the wind blows, blah blah blah." So basically, like 2 or 1 week after, he was here in London, and he reached out and we met, and he talked highly about you. He talked about you like quite like a few times.
He's great. I love Kyle.
Great. Yeah, it was amazing our encounter as well. And then I really, yeah, I felt something inside of me that I needed to like check your work. I watched a few of your sessions and I said, yes, I really need to reach out.
I'm so glad you did. That's amazing. Thank you.
And since I watched your videos, my life completely like changed. Like I'm a different person, like literally, it's amazing.
Oh, thank you. Tell me, tell me in what ways that you're different.
So basically, like when I wrote that email to you, it felt like I was making a wish. And then basically, after I wrote that email, everything started coming together. So can I talk about what I wrote to you? Yeah.
100%.
So basically, I wrote to you saying that I love my job. I am so grateful for being a teacher. I work in a special school, and like I would never change for anything in my life. But still, I was like, something is missing, and I don't know what it is. Um, so basically, I think the first interview I watched was the one with Matt, and something clicked for me after I watched that because since I was a child, I am deeply passionate about truth and like who am I and what the hell am I doing here? Why am I alive?
Yes. Best question ever. It's my favorite question,
I
honest to
know,
goodness.
right?
Yeah.
And I'm obsessed about it. I'm obsessed. And watching that video, I was like, wow, I'm obsessed about it and I should do something about it, you know? Not like, but more in an active way rather in a passive way, kind of like watching videos, blah, blah. I was like, I need to like show myself. This was my feeling, you know. I like writing things on my Instagram, you know. I like sharing like what I create, but to me like sharing my face is a big thing. um yeah, it's quite big. So I was kind of like processing this idea of like, okay, I need to invest, you know. I need to understand. I need to, yeah, I need to like mature this idea. Um, so on Sunday, I did a session with a non-duality guy from YouTube. And basically, after the session, there was so much clarity and there was so much innocence and love, you know, like thoughts, they were thoughts, you know,
Yeah.
they were not stars anymore. thoughts like now thoughts they're just a thought, you know? And
Yes.
sometimes I get caught in thoughts and it's not I don't get frustrated anymore. It's just it's funny, you know?
Yes. I do know. I know exactly
It's
what you
funny
mean.
because it's kind of, oh my God, like
Yes.
it's all
Yes.
here. It's like, oh, not again, you know?
Yep.
It's a prank.
And it's lovely because, we when we start on this journey, it feels like a hardship. It feels like a challenge. And then when you can get to that place where it's joy, it's happy, it's recognition that it's happening. And it's happening because we're learning something instead of, oh my gosh, why is this happening to me? It's okay, it's happening. It's happening, right? And it's happening with joy. I love that. That's
Right
wonderful.
here, right now, yes. And yeah, it's very it's oh, it's so beautiful. Yeah, kind of like now if I close my eyes, before this was a face, but now this is just a sensation and it's not even a sensation
Yep.
and it doesn't belong to me, you know? It's just energy appearing.
Yes.
And this is freedom and it's so beautiful and it's a miracle.
It is a miracle. And what's really cool is that you're, that's part of your journey, right? You're here to transcend the physical, and you're a leader in that. And this is why, it's really cool. Like, this is why you went into the career path that you did, because you're not just a teacher, you're a very special kind of teacher. So, and I know that because you wrote it in your email. So, can you just share with our viewers just a little bit about what teaching looks like for you?
Yes. So basically, I was seeking for my purpose for basically 10 years. Yeah. But there was something inside of me that was like, I'm not gonna give up. I know there's something that I can do that's gonna feel easy. And I was looking for that ease, you
Yep,
know?
I do.
So my journey, it's a long story, but I'm just gonna make it really brief. I went to uni. I studied international relations and marketing. Then I tried the office life. I was miserable. It didn't work.
Oh, I was there too. It was super fun. You're like, oh my God, I have to get up and go there every day.
Like it
Nope,
was
nope.
sunny outside. I was like, what am I doing here?
Right? Why am I here? Yes. Oh my gosh.
And there was like a deep sense of like I need to feel more because I'm not feeling anything here.
Yep.
And I want to this is life, This is life. I want
Yes.
to feel. So I went to drama school to become an actor.
I love it. Yeah.
But acting school was really difficult because I had a lot of obsessive thoughts.
Yep.
So when I was a kid, I loved theater, but because I was so pure, I was so there. I didn't have the shame that came with all the story and the conditioning.
Yep.
Yeah. So acting school was really hard to me because I couldn't enjoy it really. So
It wasn't easy. To
it
exactly your
wasn't
point.
easy.
You
It
were
was a
you were
nightmare.
looking for your ease, and it was another nightmare. So you went from one nightmare to another. Yep.
Exactly.
I love it. Okay, keep going. I know I don't love that you were in a nightmare, but I do love that because it's been in my greatest nightmares that the greatest revelations come, right? You actually we're humans. We don't want to do anything until our back is against the wall. That's part of our conditioning. We're going to wait until we're so uncomfortable that we have to create change because the other side is just oblivion, right? And we are forced to go beyond. So okay, so now you're in drama school. It's miserable.
Drama school.
And
At the same time that I am in drama school, um, I went to a temple in in Brazil. The temple is called the religion is called Umbanda, and in this religion, mediums channel spirits.
love it.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I went there with a friend. She was a medium. And then the second or third time I went there, I channeled a spirit.
Yeah.
And then I was like, whoa, there's more than just this,
Right? Mind
you know?
blown.
Whoa. And I was so afraid of death because part of me thought that after death, it was just darkness. And then I loved life. I love my life. I don't want to die forever and like just darkness. It's scary as,
Yep.
you know?
It is. It is. Yep. I get it. I totally get it. When you have that awareness that once this ends, you're done,
Yeah. It
right?
was just like sleeping without dreams. And that was so scary to me. And going through this awakening of kind of like, whoa, there's more than this. Now I need to understand everything. You
Right?
know, I need
Yes.
to be in service, which is really good. Um, and then basically I became a healer, but I didn't understand that that journey was to heal myself, but I think I was projecting on the other. So I was trying to fix everyone and myself at the same time, which was it was a bit confusing.
Yeah.
So I started with tarot, and then I did like crystals, a crystals course. I went to Reiki. I went to family constellations. It was just kind of like I was there. I was like, I'm gonna find this.
Yes. I love it. Yes.
But my therapist job, it was never easy. I was always struggling. Clients were like really, it was a struggle, and the clients weren't coming. And I was like, what's wrong with me? Kind of like I'm trying to help here. I'm trying to be in service, but it feels like.
I do. Yep.
Yeah. So I decided to go to London because I
So,
got my
and so you were in Brazil at this point.
I
So,
was in Brazil,
yes,
yeah.
just so everybody understands. So you
Yeah, and
lived in
nothing was
Brazil.
working.
Yeah.
Like my relationship life wasn't working, my work life wasn't working, nothing was working. So I was like, I'm just gonna seek more.
Yes. Yes. I love that. And how old were you when you were like, okay, I've done all these little changes. Now I need to make a massive change. I'm gonna leave one country and go to another.
27, yeah, 27.
That's huge. That's a huge choice to make at 27. In in like you were in the middle of everything, right? You were having awakenings, you were having the physical challenges, whether it was relationship, whether it was career, you were in the thick of all of it and you were like, that's it. I gotta try something completely new. That's amazing. So what happened when you got to England?
So basically, the first job that I found here was as a event assistant in the Science Museum. I was there for 6 months. It was horrible. I didn't like it. Um, Corona came, and then I was furloughed for a few months. Then they made me redundant,
Right.
and I decided, I'm bored of London. I need more. I need to seek more. So I went to this meditation center in Dorset. I was living there for 4 months. There I had my other awakening of kind of like, oh, I'm not a body, I'm a experience, kind of like it was kind of like
Yep.
another journey. Yeah. And then after the meditation retreat, I became a carer, like still trying to help people. Then I basically came back to London for winter because it was getting cold. You need like some shelter. Then I tried to work as an actor for 1 year, and I was kind of like miserable. I wasn't finding it. Life was a struggle. I was like full of addictions as well. And then I was kind of like 3 years ago or 2 years ago, I was like, I'm gonna try to do a master's in psychology, because maybe the world will respect me. Because I'm trying to be holistic here, so I'm just gonna try and get the paper.
I have to tell you that I think that is why 90+% of people follow the education route because they believe that that piece of paper is going to get them the respect that they're
Mm,
craving. And as you go through it and come out on the other side, it's one of those moments where it's like, it's raw because you realize that a piece of paper will never give you respect. It may get you another job, but it's not going to fulfill the respect that you're craving. It's understanding that you're on a journey to learn how to respect yourself.
mhm.
And once you can do that, then others will respect you. So it's beautiful. I'm loving how you see your story and how you're at this point now where you can look back and even though you still have questions, because we will always have questions, but you have wisdom and you have the ability to look through the eyes of discernment that says, oh, okay, that sucked. And this was tricky. This is actually what I was looking for. And this is why I was doing it. I love that you have that awareness because that's massive. It is just huge. This is such a pivotal point, in your journey. So thank you. Okay, keep going.
Yeah, basically, I started my master's and I was like, oh, maybe I should try to look for a job that has something related to psychology. And kind of the only thing you can do in London, if you're like a psychology graduate, is kind of like being one-to-one in like special schools.
Yep.
So I got this job in the school I'm working now. It was like so easy. Um, and then I started working there as a one-to-one, but it's still, I loved being there, but it wasn't that. I was kind of like, let's go, let's go, let's go. And kind of, it was a process of accepting that I loved teaching and kind of like there's a lot of like bad stigma related to teaching, like about money, about hours, about being tired and everything. So I had to clean everything and be there teaching and was like kind of like, oh, this is so easy.
Right.
And I
Yes.
love that. I love the kids because they're so easy as well. They are so funny. They're so smiley. It's so yeah, this body loves to be there. And kind of like everything I learned in this journey, I was doing that. Everything, when I was planning my lessons, it's marketing, international relations. I'm like kind of like in London, yeah. Like I'm like, you know, I
Yeah.
was acting, like teaching is acting. You're kind of like an entertainer. And psychology helped me a lot as well and all the holistic things because I'm a really good listener. I sometimes the kids they just want someone to be there and that's all. So I'm really grateful for my journey and now I give so much value to the job I have, and it's every day I wake up, it's a blessing.
Oh, I love that. And what's amazing is you're present in your work. So now you're giving that gift. So
Mhm.
all the tools are amazing and wonderful, but the impact you're making and you're bringing to these children is their ability to be present with themselves. And, you know, that's something that's been missing from the education system for the most part. Every once in a while, you'll experience a teacher that you remember for the rest of your life. And that's what you're becoming for your students. You're that one that they're going to remember because you made them remember something special about themselves. And that's massive. And that's really, you can see that's that journey that you've been on is remembering what's special about you and being able to wake up and go, this is hard, like it shouldn't be this hard. And It's really interesting because as you were talking, I had this awareness of the last three generations where, there's the generation that they're accustomed to suffering, right? These are people who were born in the 40s and the 50s, and they are accustomed to suffering, and they're always preparing for suffering. They don't use things; they stockpile things, right? It's that not addiction to stuff. It's in their mind, it's security. If you have the stuff, you're secure if you need it because they went through the depression. They went through, all the aspects that challenged our physical being. And so what came out of that was it's it's a perspective of life that hard makes you stronger and suffering makes you stronger. And you know, as a result, the children of that era, okay, came out with this stuck in this middle, right? Where we need to, um, how do I, we were taught, like the children were taught to apologize and to follow rules and to be very obedient. And then, their children became resentful of needing to be obedient. And so they started to fight back.
Mhm.
And so this is kind of how they fought back by not doing a lot. And then there was sort of a lazy approach. And what's fascinating to me is you're none of those things. Okay. What you're not saying it should be easy because I don't want to do anything. What you're saying is what I'm doing should bring me joy. It
Yeah.
should fill me up. And that's what you mean by easy. And I really want to make sure that people know that that's what you're communicating. I can feel it. And it's just this sense of self that says, when it's easy, this is what people talk about when they say, I could do it all day. And it would never, like, I'd never be bored. But the reason that it's easy is because you're getting the stimulation that you need.
Mm,
And this is really important. I have goosebumps because this
yeah.
is this is where the education system fails us. We need stimulation. Humans were designed to explore our potential. And when we are not, we have depression, we have anxiety, we're bored because we don't have enough stimulation that we need. Stimulation isn't about doing a whole bunch of things. It's about following our instincts and our passions, right? So when I say passions, I mean whatever interests you in the moment. If you want to watch ants build an ant house for 5 hours, that is brilliant. It's it's not needing to go on and, reach a goal and finish this and be able to prove something that you did at the end of those 5 hours, which is what the education system wants. We're going to test you. You need to tell me what you learned. No. And so that's what they're showing me is your passion, your ability to recognize that the energy that flows through you is more powerful than anything. And that was really, when you were in that first awakening, when you went um, in Brazil, when you were going to that church or what you called it
The
something else,
temple.
the
Yeah.
temple.
Mm.
And when you were at that, when you were in the temple, when you were in that experience of channeling, and I'm gonna use the word channeling, but the energy, you were in the energy. So the spiritual world uses a lot of labels that confuse a lot of things because if we try to understand it, right, and then we look it up and we're like, oh, what does this mean? And what are other people doing? And oh, it must be channeling. What they want you to understand is you were communicating with your souls and the souls of your ancestors. And I don't mean ancestors as in your family and a couple generations back. I'm talking about the ancestral line and the lineage of your soul in this in this universe and universal existence. So
Mm,
that's where it was the spark that you needed.
mm, mm,
And it was the recognition that that's what I was looking for. Yes, that's what it was. And then it triggered you to go further. So now what happens is your drive, your desire to look, you got confirmed. Yes, that is what I'm supposed to be doing. And then
mm.
what happens is that confirmation helps you go further and deeper into your journey. So then you have bigger questions because now you got confirmation.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden out of that, you're like, whoa, there's more. So now you, right? It triggers all these questions that you don't even know it's triggering. It's just what it looks like, what a lot of questions look like when we don't understand that we have big questions is restlessness. And that's why we make choices and we make changes because we're restless and you're meant to have that restlessness. It's your soul's way of saying, keep going, keep going, keep going, because you're moving in the right direction. And if you stay in the wrong place too long, it just doesn't feel good. So the moment that it stops feeling good is when we need to create change. But so often we get caught up in the mind of what the mind says, well, I have to follow this and I have to follow that. And you shifted, you moved away from that, which is incredible. And so now there's so many things. It's so incredible because, you're literally your part of your mission, part of your purpose is transcending the physical. And I know a lot of people are here for different reasons in that regard, but yours is specifically linked to it's really interesting how they're showing me. It's your soul has the ability to travel outside of your body. And most people, when they have awakening experiences, they still have some sort of attachment to their physical body,
Mm,
where you have none. It's you leave your body, have the experience, and then you're like, okay, now I have to go back because I'm still here in this physical world.
mm,
And that that ability to leave and come back, leave and come back, leave and come back is what makes you so unique because most people cannot understand how to transcend the physical and because they have too much fear. They have too much fear of how's that going to work? How's that going to happen? I mean, I remember the first time I was like, okay, give me a chance. I'm going to try and channel because at that time, that's all I understood it was. And I remember I was very dramatic because I didn't know if I'd be able to come back. So I said, can you hold my hand to a friend? And she's like, yep, I'll hold your hand. And I said, if I go in too deep, you got to pull me back. And those fears don't need to exist when someone like you has the awareness that let's just go. Let's just take off. We're going to fly, so to speak. We're going to explore and then we'll just come back. And so it's a two-parter because you're still learning how to do that and you're still in the understanding of okay, how does this really work? But you can't learn anymore through from Googling it and studying it and searching it with your mind. You have to do it. And
mm,
that's the only way you're going to learn. The other, excuse me, the other side is you have all these young humans. So children do it naturally. We do it every night when we're sleeping. And as we get older and we have more beliefs that become ingrained, they block us, right? Every belief that becomes ingrained, it's like, this is a rule. I can't do this. I can't do that. Even subconsciously, we don't even recognize it. It's happening, right? It's the same thing. When you're kids and you say, like we all say it, we say, oh, I want to do this or I want to do that. And then there's always an adult there who's like, well, you can't do that. That won't work.
yeah,
Right
definitely.
there. It creates a belief and a block.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So your job right now is to help these children remove their blocks. And not because you're saying, I'm going to help you. every time you recognize one, you're going to, it's like you're knights and you're fighting this, this against this belief. And your job is to let them recognize, is it real? Or is
Mm,
it something someone told them? And you're going to help them challenge it inside of themselves because that's what you've been doing in your own journey. And
mm.
you're not even fully aware of because those are the pieces that haven't all come together, right? So what they're showing me is, you've got all these pieces of a puzzle, but they're not together yet. They're all over it's just all over the table, so to speak. And there's a whole bunch of pieces. You can see all the colors, you can see their shapes. Now it's time to start putting the pieces together where they fit.
Yeah. Can I just tell what happened after the session on Sunday? Because there was more.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so just after the session,
Hmm.
um, I went for a walk, and it was really clear that something was stuck in my neck, kind of like I could feel a lot of energy here. And I was feeling like really free, and I was like smiley and like full of love. And I was like kind of like, oh, I need to like share this. I need to express that, you know? And kind of like I do have a YouTube where I posted some stuff. But it was so clear to me, it's like do it, like you need to share this message kind of thing. But at the same time, I could feel the block because since I was a kid, there was this thing of like, what you saying, it doesn't make sense kind of thing, you
Yep.
know? So, yeah, basically, I posted the video and it was easy, which it felt really good to just like release that message, you
Yes.
know? Uh, some people like, and it was just this, I didn't need it anymore. Kind of, my ego was like, oh, how many likes, how many comments, and I was like, yeah, yeah, but you kind
Right.
of like, yeah, you're so predictable, like.
Yep.
And there was some comments like, oh, you're delusional, and that hit me so bad. It was kind of like arrow in my chest,
Yep.
you know
I
and then I
do.
was like, oh, I'm being rejected, the body feels rejected, kind of.
The
Then I
ego. The
feel,
ego is
yeah,
rejected,
the
right? The
ego is kind
mind.
of like, oh, they don't like me, oh, all these stories, it was like, oh, that's so interesting. And then the guilt, oh, I need to say sorry. And then the anger is like, oh, they're horrible, and then sadness, like, oh, the body's sad, it's been rejected, and kind of
Yes.
like, and then the message that you gave to Matt was kind of like, why are you apologizing, for who you are? The intention here is not to be right and or wrong. Those are just ideas, and what we're living goes beyond this dual idea of like wrong and right, bad and good,
I
this
do.
is the point, so yeah, it's just like it's very scary, and yeah,
Okay, so tell me,
scary.
it's scary sharing yourself. Yes?
Yeah.
Okay. So first and foremost, you're specifically meant to be working with and for kids.
Mm,
And I need you to feel that because when our message is shared with us and we thought it was going to be a different way,
yeah.
we will sometimes fight it, right? But what they're saying is you speak in a way that they understand.
Mm,
Why? Because you respect them. And Most teachers, I'm using the word teachers, which I don't typically use, most teachers don't respect the children. They believe that they need to be respected, and that comes through in the form of, listen to me, I'm the master. I'm the expert. I'm the one who has the wisdom and knowledge that you need, so you need to listen. But you understand that kids have the wisdom and understanding in them, that all you're doing is helping them remember it and helping them find the courage to follow it in spite of everyone else who's told them that they need to listen to everybody else. And yep, it's going to speak to adults, but who you're going to be speaking to is parents.
Mm.
Parents who are going to hear your stories, listen to them with their children, and restore their own faith in themselves while their children are restoring it in them. Okay. So it's less about performing in your videos. Okay. So your channel that you're going to be creating, your messages are about reconnecting with the inner child. And the thing is most people don't go on that journey until they're in their late 30s and 40s and 50s and even 60s and 70s, right? It's recognizing that even children that are 8 and 9 and 10 years old, they need to do that now. And that's what you're being called to do. So you're going to continue to learn because that's we can't keep sharing without learning, right? Every day I'm learning new. Right now I'm learning a new whole aspect of human existence through working with you and having this conversation. It's phenomenal.
Mm.
But you know, you're a gift, and your gift is being able to share the wisdom of the universe, the wisdom of their souls with them in ways that it doesn't need, here's the thing, it doesn't need to be in a sacred space, in the way everybody else is doing it is, it's kind of like an right? Like in that sort of high vibrational, um, almost dramatic, right? Yours is about playfulness. It's about restoring joy. It's about lightening the load rather than making, awakening so dramatic and so heavy. It's restoring it to the simplicity, okay? The simplicity of what it was always meant to be. And that's why children are going to hear you and see you and speak to you in ways that most humans can't because they've got a whole bunch of stuff on top. But as they see you making all of this impact with children, you're going to come to this place where the parents and the elders are going to hear the wisdom as well. Okay. It's kind
Mhm.
of like when you're watching, like one of those cartoon movies where it means one thing to the kids, and then as the adults are listening, there's another sort of funny story that goes right over the kid's head because they don't understand it. Both are going to be encrypted, but not because your brain's like, oh, it'll be this and this. It's because when you start speaking, there whomever it is speaking with you through you, right? And
Mhm.
I want to make sure that people understand is this is not channeling, okay? This is, it's like what I'm doing. I'm communicating with universal beings. I'm not channeling. Channeling means I'm not I'm not here at all. I'm not present. Communication is a recognition that there is a level of purity that must be reached within oneself to be able to share messages and awarenesses in a way that doesn't have the imprint of my stuff, my story, my limited beliefs. And that's what you're learning how to do. You're learning how to transcend the physical aspects of yourself to relay messages in a way that the child or the human person needs to hear from their soul. Like
Mm.
I was doing this in grade school with kids. Their
Mm.
parents would be going through a divorce, and here I am spending recess talking to them and sharing messages, but I didn't know that's what I was doing. because it came from a place of purity and then it got covered up. But the point is that you're in this place of learning how to do that. You're meant to be this holder of messages, so to speak, and this holder of bringing this awareness and these and there, that's the other part is so the word messages goes right along with channeling, right? It's like formal, right? It's I'm channeling and these are the messages and we need to hear them. And so what happens with that belief system and that approach is it's like the person takes the information and they try to fit it into their brain,
Mm-hmm.
but it will never work because that's not how universal energy works. Universal energy is an experience that allows the recipient to hear and feel the vibration and they raise their vibration. So they come up to meet the energy. Okay. And that's the difference. That's where you're going in this journey. You're not there to share messages. You're there to bring out the wisdom of the universe so that these children can remember who they are and act in that with that freedom of knowing.
Mm.
Okay. Does that make sense so
Yeah,
far?
yeah. I would like to share one last thing that I was
Yeah.
hoping to share with you, and I think it goes very well with what are talking now. So basically, I like 8 years ago in Brazil, I had my first ayahuasca trip, and I was kind of like seeking, this to understand this purpose. And basically, during the ceremony, um, kind of like I saw this vision of it was a man, it was a being, maybe not a man, a being, and this being was like right inside of the middle of a pyramid. Um, and this being was basically writing, and he was kind of like connecting messages from the spirits to for the other beings. And then I heard a sentence kind of like your purpose is to awake and be this being, which I understand is this energy. And I have a sense that something went really wrong there, but I don't know what it is.
Something
Um,
went really wrong in the
the
journey.
story, the journey, yeah. Not my human journey, but with that being.
Oh. So, oh, okay. So that being gave you a message and you feel like that being something went wrong with their journey.
It felt like I was that being,
Okay.
but something went wrong, so I was
Right. Okay.
kind of like,
So, um, so it's really cool because when we're in energy, we can become anyone like that. Like what happens is everything that's ever occurred in existence exists within the realm of energy. So you can step into anyone else's journey and have full awareness. That's how I
mm,
connect and communicate with people's souls and have all this information. So when you went through that journey, you were seeing, really, you were seeing Jesus's life, his story, and you were in it. And it did go wrong because what went wrong is he came here to help humans remember who they were. And instead of remembering, they decided through guidance
mm,
that was manipulated, they decided to put all of their faith in him instead of themselves. So that's what went wrong. That was what backfired. And he's saying you're here to help restore that now, right? You're here to help humans remember. And he's incredible and he's visiting so many of those who are awakened in the sense, and when I say awakened, I mean aware that there's more than the physical here, right?
Mhm.
Aware that this isn't all there is. And so when you had that experience, it was to get you out the door, so to speak. Like they needed you. You were sort of still in this protective space of, well, it's true, but how much is true, and what's really going on. And so they wanted to push you out the door so that you'd get comfortable in the sense of feeling energy and feeling other beings and the awareness that they have to offer, because that's what you're doing. That's what you're going to be doing, right? It's 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 similar in a sense to the work that I'm doing in the sense of the level of communication. And but your mission is to help restore that childlike wonder and joy. And you're going to be able to do it in young children all the way up to, 70 and 80-year-olds because you have an understanding and a sense of the simplicity of existence itself. And
Mm.
this is where most people get it wrong because they want it to be complicated. They want it to be dramatic, right? And in the spiritual world, they use big words and they're like, oh, it's this, and you got to do this. And you're like, no, no, it just has to feel good. Just
Yeah.
it, right? Like, and that's the point. That's what makes you so beautiful at what you do is this simplicity because when it's simple, it's universal. It's when
Yeah.
it's complicated that it's the human side, right? And that's what you're restoring is that simple childlike joy to the journey of those who are ready to receive it. And not,
Sometimes it's just a smile, and that's it.
yes. And the thing is, right, people don't appreciate the simplicity. And that's really what your journey is about right now. And what will happen is as you cultivate the awareness of simplicity itself, you're going to get deeper into the things that you're passionate about, and more of who you are and what you're meant to be doing is going to be revealed, right? But it can't be revealed until you start doing it. But remembering that it's simplicity that you're looking for. So when it looks like, okay, what's really going on? You want to bring it back to, okay, what's the simple salute? Like what does it actually, what's going on here really?
It's so funny. My mind is like, how am I gonna do that? I'm all like, you don't need to know. It's so simple.
It's so true because that's the first thing everyone asks is, how am I going to do that?
Exactly.
And that should be your first video right there. Your first is my brain always wants to go to, how am I meant to figure this out? What am I going to do? This is crazy. It seems so elusive, it seems so big, but it's not. It's simple. And what's the simple truth? Because again, truth has always been your driving force, right?
Yeah.
How you feeling?
It's just these past days, I
Yep.
I didn't stop like tearing up and smiling because it's been such a beautiful journey. And like there's a really deep sense of just going back to my inner child, to like there's is the same feeling. It's not something new. It's a remembering of that joy, and just how life is beautiful and how life is a miracle.
Yep.
And something really beautiful that I received these days as well. It's kind of like I think you were talking about that in the beginning of the session, how people are connecting their existence with like owning and possessing things like, oh, I love my cat, I love my dog, I love my boyfriend, I love my job, like love is having things, yeah, but love, what I felt in my being was like love. is acceptance of what is.
And surrender.
And
Acceptance and
so,
surrender. Yes.
and
Acceptance.
it's so easy. It's simple.
It is. It keeps coming back to that, right? And it's the childlike joy and wonder that gives us the most fulfillment.
Mm,
And we forget that. And then that's when we try to complicate everything. And that's where we bring all these beliefs that are way more complicated than they need to be. And then what happens when it's complicated? We get confused. And then our brains go to, well, how do I do it?
mm,
Because we stepped out of the simplicity. So you can see how your mission is wrapped up in in all of that. It's a lot of what's coming is, you know, you have a the fear, right? The fear of it's not that you're scared of sharing yourself, it's that you're scared of sharing a message that may not be quite right. It may be a little bit wrong, and you may not have gotten it yourself yet. So, you know, how can you have the authority to share this message with those who are ready and waiting for it? Okay. And what they're saying is you're not carrying a message that you're pushing at other people. You're sharing wisdom that you feel from your heart and your soul. And those who are ready for it are going to receive it with open arms, and they're going to be ready and willing to pick it up and carry it in their own hearts. And that's the part you have to remember. It's also remembering that those who are angry and those who are hurtful when they hear your message, it's because they're not yet ready. But it's remembering that you planted that seed in them. So even if it comes out as anger towards you, it's really fear of the truth coming out in them. And so every time someone says something hurtful, resentful, judgmental, it's being able to hold that space and recognize that it's okay that they're not ready. They don't need to be ready. And maybe you're not their person. They need to find it in someone else. But either way, you planted a seed in them, which means you're contributing to the resurrection of humanity itself. You're contributing to the resurrection of humanity itself. They want you to feel how big that is.
mm,
That's where your focus and your energy need to go, not in did they like it? Did they love it? Are they giving me, are they giving me the love back? It's the recognition that you're here, you're fulfilling your calling. Not everyone's going to like it, right?
mm,
And that's why moments and visits and, conversations with Jesus will help because how many people were challenged by his existence and the messages and the wisdom that he carried, right? It's recognizing that every single time you go into conversations with universal beings, it's not going to be anything like what people told you it was about.
mm,
And it's being able and willing to allow your mind to shift from what you thought, right? That belief
mm,
into what is, because that's the expansion. That's your brain's ability, and it's showing you your capacity for awareness and truth and universal existence inside of you, right? And it's when we hear things and we're like, no, no, that can't be real. Squash it down, right? And you're good at not squashing it. You're good at going, well, okay, but how? Why? Like, how is that possible? Or, you know, show me more, right?
yeah,
And because of that, that's why you're going to be able to help restore that childlike wonder in humans who need it most. Now, what they are saying is you're going to have some great challenges coming in the next 5 years in particular, but your journey is going to be about 8 or 9 years. Yep. At this phase of learning, 8 or 9 years of restoring childlike wonder and joy. The first 5 years are going to be filled with great challenge, which means you're going to have humans who are angry. You're going to have humans who don't get it, who don't see. These are awesome. They're lessons to show you how to deal with the great challenges. Because when we learn how to deal with great challenges in one human, it makes it much easier when we've got 5,000 or 10,000 or 50,000 humans with that same situation. We now understand from an energetic, not from a mental, from an
Mm,
energetic standpoint, how to be more effective and efficient in our bigger goals, right? And the goals are nothing, you know this. It's your goals are not aligned with the mental capacity of who humans are taught to be. Your goals are aligned with who we're meant to be energetically
mm,
in human form. And so that's what you're participating in. And it's recognizing that any beliefs that are blocking you from fulfilling that in the most beautiful way are
mm,
going to be challenges that are going to come up, and they're going to show you an easier way. And
mm.
you already know easy is the best way. So it's embracing, right? I'll tell you, the greatest challenges were in the first 8 or 9 years of my journey. I faced everything, the darkest dark energies and beings, and because I needed to know them, I needed to understand how they worked, what they thought. I needed to learn from them so that I knew I knew them, so that I would understand when they came into sessions when I was working one on one, right? I needed to understand how to deal with them when I'm working. Like they showed me I can now hold space for 3 billion people at one time. 20 years it's taken me to learn how to do that. Okay. And every single step of the way, I get stronger because I'm participating. So I'm holding space. I'm learning how to do it, but I'm actively doing it. It's not like school where you go and you take courses and then you do a test and then they send you out into the world and they're like, okay, go do it now. It doesn't
Mm.
work that way, right? Universally, you learn through participation, right? That's
Yeah.
what wisdom is. It's experience plus knowledge. You have to have the experience. If you don't have the experience, it's not wisdom. It's just a bunch of stuff you know.
Mhm. Yeah.
So embrace that. The next 5 years are it's like wisdom seeking years. You know, they're your years of self-mastery. And that's
Mm,
how they want you to look at it is you are literally becoming a master at soul communication inside of yourself. So you're learning how to communicate better with your soul so that your soul can communicate better through you to others. And as you do that, the whole universe is not only going to be smiling and singing, but they're going to be communicating through you as well because you open the door to allow them to come to your party, so to speak, right? Because that's the space that you're creating, right? That intention of sharing truth. And the greatest challenge for human beings in this day and age is truth. It's the thing we crave the most, and yet it's our greatest challenge because we know if I open myself to that truth, it means I have to change something else in my life. And sometimes it's a massive thing, sometimes it's a little thing,
mm.
but we have to create change and we can't pretend that we don't need to do that anymore. And so that's why, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's it's really it's global. That is a global challenge. And, you know, part of you, I see it's like a knight with a sword and you're in your full stance, one leg behind, one in front, and you're prepared to duel with their beliefs to help them restore their faith and their truth. But it's remembering that we don't come and we don't pour stuff and throw something at someone. That's not
Mm,
truth. That's not going to help. Your job is to clear out all of the vines and all of the lies, right, that are in the way so that they can see clearly. And you don't do that by telling someone what they have to see. You
mm.
do it by offering them bits of wisdom all the time.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. So well said.
You're
Yeah.
so ready for this, Fernando. And you know it. And I think that's part of your excitement and your joy, but it's also part of your nerves and your concern, right? Is, you know, people aren't going to like it. They aren't going to like it. Not everybody, but there's going to be those who are going to love it. And when you touch one person, that person carries that new wisdom and awareness to every single person they meet on their journey. Whether it's the people they drive by, whether it's the people they walk by, the animals, the world, nature, every human that that person touches is because of you. So that's how much impact you're going to be making. And
Mm,
it's remembering that you can't see the lines of your impact, but you can feel it. And that's what's going to keep you going right now. Okay.
yeah. That's so beautiful. Yeah, I just feel really connected to like basically everything you said. Um, yeah, it's so funny because I've been I've been working in this school for 2 years already. And it's yeah, it's just I've learned some stuff reading books, but the real stuff is just it's a spiritual I don't like the word, but I'm gonna say it's a spiritual practice to go there and be open to what life wants to show you, you know?
Yep. The energy and the experience. Yeah.
And yeah, I can feel like a lot of teachers and a lot of like the leadership team sometimes they try to like, oh, that's not how you do it, you know, kind of like, oh, you
Yep.
know, and like, okay, yes, sure.
Right. And that's okay. It's again, remembering that you're not there to defy them. You're
Mhm,
there to encourage them to embrace more of who they are. And so it's, we can't change anything by fighting and arguing against it. It's impossible.
mhm,
We change by becoming who we're meant to be. Then you can change how things work and the way things are meant to be, right? You can restore them. And so when you when you're in these meetings, when you're in these situations where people are saying, "Oh, we can't do it that way." And then you say, "Okay, well, how are we supposed to do it?" And then you ask, "And how does that make you feel?" And just let it sit. Let it sit because we don't give other people the opportunity to feel.
mhm,
And that's what you do when you work with children, especially. It's why you have such extensive experience. And it's why you have such a deep connection, is because you let them feel.
mhm,
And you are going to help create that space for humans to remember to feel, to remember how to feel, right? Because before they can actually feel, they have to remember that feeling exists, right? Because
yeah.
we're so taught that our emotions are our feelings, and that's not, that's just a mental perspective of what's going on. That's all your emotions are. They're not feeling. So they're showing me, write down, whenever you have an experience, write down how it felt.
Mm,
Because in that writing, you're going to find what you're then teaching and sharing.
mm.
Okay. You'll get
That's
it. They're showing me you're going to get it because it's going to naturally go, "Oh, I get it." And you'll see it and it'll just naturally flow from you. It's like, yeah, it's pretty amazing actually, because it's not only is it going to be in your work, um, at the school right now, it's going to be what you become known for globally.
that's so funny because today I wrote something here. So yeah, yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
That's amazing. I love that.
Yeah.
So, Fernando, do you have any more questions? Do you have a question for me about anything in particular?
Yes, actually, just tomorrow I'm going to Portugal. It's kind of like it feels a bit weird because I kind of like I decided not to make plans for it, so I'm kind of like, let's go,
Yep.
like a happy kid. And I'm just wondering if there's any guidance or any.
Yeah. So the first thing is right now they're showing me um again, it's that same theme, right? Your mind is wanting to look for the big, bright, shiny thing that you're going to find that's going to be like, ah, this is it. This is everything. It makes total sense. Stop looking for that. Be
Yeah.
in the moment of allowing each moment to be like, oh, okay. Because there is that part of you that wants that one big thing to come and make all the sense in the world right now, right? Yes.
Every day, every day.
Yeah. And what they're saying is it's surrendering and letting that go because you're already on your path. And that is the one big thing. And if you allow yourself to retrieve the lessons and the magic and the wisdom in all of your small experiences, you're going to be led on a journey of immense, immense learning that will challenge even the greatest masters that are on the planet today. But you have to come back to the simplicity because that's where mastery is. Self mastery is in the simplicity, it is not in the deep, complicated mystery stuff, right? It's not in that. It's in the simplicity of conversations with human beings who are asking bigger and better questions. And what I mean by better is not a competition better, but better questions than how's the weather? Or, you know, what does this
Uh,
taste like? It's what is eating that? What's that experience like? Which is different than what does it taste like?
oh, yeah,
Oh, I just
interesting.
lost your sound. I don't know
Hello,
why I did. Huh.
hello,
Hi. Okay.
hi. Mm,
There we go. Well, how's that?
yeah, that's
Makes sense. Yes. I love that. Oh,
yeah. I'm speechless to be honest.
perfect. Well, I thank you. Thank you so much for being here, for being so open, and have a wonderful time in Portugal.
Thank
Enjoy your journey in the simplicity and let us know how you're doing because we'd love to have you back. It was
yes,
wonderful.
yes. I'd love to be back. Thank you so much for your time, for your love, for your gift. It was amazing. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Fernando. It was an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed this conversation and want to learn more, head on over to michellevickers.com. Join our mailing list to receive new episodes right to your inbox or apply to be a guest on the show. If this episode made you think of someone while you were listening, forward the link onto that person with a little note about why it made you think of them, because the greatest gift you can give another human is to see the beauty and purity of who they truly are. Until next time, stay curious.